Just because you own a business doesn't make you a leader. And so I thought it'd be helpful to have a few marks of what does it look like when a business owner is becoming a business leader. Hey, it's Scott Beebe with Business on Purpose. Make sure to hop on over to mybusinessonpurpose.com/healthy. Take about a 5 to 7 minute. And you haven't done that in about 6 months. Go into it, take that assessment. You're going to get a nice numerical feedback as to the health of the backside of your business. So let's talk about this mindset of where an owner becomes a leader. Think about these statements. Well, it's just easier if I do it myself. Or no one does it as good as I do it. Or they just don't care as much as I do. Now, these are all statements that I've heard many of our owners make, and they're all statements, quite frankly, that will sabotage your executive leadership. Now, that word executive, we'll come back to that. The leader could drive the tractor or could fulfill the order, could supervise the build, could execute the transaction. The leader could meet with the client, and the business owner could negotiate the material pricing. But the executive leader, that owner that's turned into leader, reminds herself that she has proximity to motivate a team to pursue the named future that she sees. That executive leader creates proximity. They receive a phone call from a client and yet elect not to respond directly and instead to immediately pass it to the trained and capable team member who can respond within the core values. The executive leader intentionally withholds their response, even when it's helpful, knowing that their discipline will create an opportunity for their team to get more reps in this crucial part of the business. When an owner-turned leader willfully withholds a natural response in a display of self-discipline, it will be misunderstood, and it will be questioned, and it will create the value of another repetition for the leader to whom that response has been delegated. The old leadership guru, John Maxwell, he famously stated this: if someone else can do the task at least 80% as well as I can, then I give it to them. Wow. I think leaders need to remind themselves of that over and over again. The math of that reasoning tells us that 20% of their work may not hold up to your personal standard, and yet 80% that they take from you, take off your plate, allows you to be freed up to pursue the highest and best use of your time. Money can always be regenerated, but time and attention, you can't get that back. And so the owner-turned leader must guard her time because nothing she has dominion over is of more value than how she spends her time. And yet we waste it on task management, decisions that others could easily make, even if they don't perfectly align with your decision. You might have selected a circle while your leader selected an oval, but either way, the decision's done and allows the organization to ultimately hit on the mission within the guideline of those values. That's a win. Starting and building your business requires a relentless, red-eyed, sacrificial devotion to doing and to seeing it all. But when the owner turns leader, you can largely be freed from that. What you've built is good. It's valuable. What you've built is helpful and beneficial and powerful, but not if you're going to insert yourself into every little task and decision, thereby sabotaging growth and your opportunity. When the growth of a business is stunted, so too are the growth opportunities for each team member. As a business grows, so too the roles required of which existing team members may have opportunity for promotion. The owner-turned-leader becomes more like a pilot. Build the initial systems to operate the plane and then set the GPS coordinates and allow the people and the systems to get you there. So what are those 4 indicators? There are more, but here are 4 that I think will be helpful for the owner becoming leader to understand that they're moving into the right direction of that leadership. First, the owner-turned leader will spend far more time on vision and people than they will on process and task. That owner-turned leader will have multiple calendar times throughout each year. They gather the entire company together, in person or virtual, and read back through their vision story. At the time that I'm talking through this right now, in fact, we've got a vision day coming up this coming Thursday. We do it every 2 months, 6 times a year, so that the entire team can understand this is where the ship's headed. I also include in it what we call a green, yellow, red flags. These vision days, with the added addition of those flag-like reflections, offer the owner-turned-leader and the team a sobering, in-the-moment consideration of where they think they stand in a number of business and personnel areas. The owner-turned-leader will be in a continual state of learning and understanding the art and the science of human psychology and personality. They will begin to take seriously the objective insights of profiles and assessments while also pursuing the acumen into that generational diversity that Tim Elmore talks about, those trends, the norms, while they're training their leaders on what they see and hear. The second mark of an owner turning into a leader is you'll have a defined and published group of tapped leaders in place, and those leaders will begin showing evidence of building and refining the team to carry the heavy loads of business in your stead. In this case, published means a visual org chart, formally communicated to the team while you make space in team meetings and check-ins for investing time and attention through line item training with the culture calendar review. Published is also public, and the Latin root of pub, P-U-B, means a collection of people. So if the people have confusion about who's leading, then your leadership is not published. The third mark, or the third indicator of an owner turned leader, is revealed when you begin having greater proximity to your leaders, both close and far away. Proximity towards your leaders comes by way of the old famed RPMs of great leadership that we talk about frequently around here. The R, repetitious proximity. That's engagement that happens over time and over again, realizing that once is never enough. RPMs, the P, stands for predictable proximity. It's engagement that happens without surprise, allowing for clarity and sobriety in thoughtful and timely conversation. The micromanager asks the wrong question at the wrong time, whereas the executive leader asks the right question at the right time. You will also need to prioritize the M, the RPM, right? Repetition, predictability, and then meaningful proximity, which will welcome the skill of intentionality. It's a deliberateness, the way a skilled surgeon navigates a robotic arm into a space that's unseen by the naked eye. It's not hurried, but targeted, slow, seeing and hearing what's in front of you, not allowing your mind to be pulled apart to the worthless things, screaming for your limited attention. When you have well-communicated time away from the office, defined meeting structures, and a more closely aligned weekly schedule, they begin to offer an unrestrained path to the bullseye of what's most valuable in that moment. A fourth indicator of executive leadership is when you're making time to pursue the wisdom of third-party voices outside of your business. Your internal leaders cannot serve this function in full. They're overseeing the management of the business. They will soon be in desperate need for new inspiration and updated motives to be able to lead, and you're going to need to be able to provide that as their leader. For some, this third-party wisdom will reveal itself in nature walking, hiking, biking, swimming, or jogging alone outside. For others, it may be in silent or unruffled stillness, maybe a quiet room with a small chair and a window, or the edge of a wooded park in the middle of a workday when no one's around. Books are a magical merging of the rustling of words without a sound. Books are perpetually evergreen wisdom of the years from sages encapsulated in the products of our earth, believe it or not. The pages, the glue, the string, the binding, the ink, all creating a quiet symphony, upending our norms and reclassifying our closely held beliefs. It was Thomas Jefferson I saw walked in the mock-up of his library at the Library of Congress, and he was sending books as a gift to that Library of Congress, and he wrote in a note to John Adams saying, "I cannot live without books." Well, neither should the leader. Many times those books are penned by the hand of a sage, which draws its root from the sophist, a Greek term that doubles from wisdom. Wisdom from a sage. A wisdom dispenser brings nuance, clarity, brilliance, and sturdiness. It's like a battered book in an antique shop. A sage presents its attractiveness precisely by their brokenness and their scars. The owner-turned-leader has sages, plural, multiple. The uncoordinated team of sages offers a teaspoon of fresh strategy in favor of a full cup of tested perspective. The sage is rarely interested in solving a problem that will last for a week. They wish to help transform the soul of a person or a business for a lifetime. At least 4 elements revealing the growth of an owner turning leader, and that's investing more time and attention on vision, mission, values, that purpose element of the business. The second, it's a published group of defined leaders in place that they are leading. The third mark, a proximity to those leaders, both close and far. And the fourth is a symphony of sages. None of these will be purchased in a prepackaged of modern products allowing you to hack the system. The elements of executive leadership are only obtained through adventure in pioneering, creating ruts of repetition, predictability, and meaning.